Halloween, a time for candy, costumes, and a little harmless fun. But sometimes, the line between a playful scare and real-life terror gets blurry. What if the masked figure at your door isn't a neighbor? What if the strange noises aren't part of a haunted house attraction? Tonight, we're not talking about ghosts or goblins. We're diving into 3 true, chilling stories that all happened on Halloween night. Stories that prove the most terrifying monsters are the ones that walk among us. Lock your doors and turn down the lights. This isn't make-believe. Our first story takes us back to October 31st, 1982, in the quiet suburbs of Houston, Texas. It was a perfect Halloween evening. The air was crisp, and kids were excitedly running from house to house. For the O'Brien family, it was a night of community and celebration. Ronald, the Candyman. O'Brien took his 2 children, Timothy and Elizabeth, trick-or-treating with a neighbor and his kids. It was a familiar, comforting scene. But a shadow of pure evil was lurking behind Ronald's friendly smile. Later that night, 8-year-old Timothy was allowed 1 piece of candy before bed. He chose a Pixie Stix, a long, straw-like tube of powdered candy. His father helped him open it, pouring the sweet powder into his mouth. Moments later, Timothy began to complain of a bitter taste. He ran to the bathroom, violently ill. Within the hour, little Timothy O'Brien was dead, poisoned on his way to the hospital. The police were immediately called. An autopsy revealed Timothy had died from acute cyanide poisoning, enough to kill 2 adults. The poisoned candy was traced back to the Pixie Stix. Panic gripped the community. Parents frantically threw away their children's Halloween hauls, terrified that a maniac was randomly poisoning candy. The police tested hundreds of pounds of candy, but found nothing else tainted. The investigation then turned inward, toward the O'Brien household itself. Ronald claimed the poisoned candy must have come from a house in their neighborhood, but he couldn't remember which one. His story kept changing. Detectives grew suspicious. Why was Ronald so inconsistent? The truth, when it was finally uncovered, was far more monstrous than a random madman. It turned out Ronald O'Brien was in deep financial trouble, over $100,000 in debt. Just months before Halloween, he had taken out massive life insurance policies on both of his children. His plan was sickeningly simple: poison his own kids with cyanide-laced candy, collect the insurance money, and make it look like a random act of Halloween horror. He had even given poisoned Pixie Stix to 4 other children that night, including his own daughter, likely to cover his tracks and make Timothy's death seem random. Miraculously, none of the other children ate the candy. One child couldn't open the tightly stapled wrapper, and his parents, recognizing the odd tampering, threw it away. Ronald O'Brien, the man who became known as the Candyman, was arrested. He maintained his innocence, but the evidence was overwhelming. He was convicted of capital murder and sentenced to death. This case forever changed Halloween, introducing a fear that still lingers today. The stranger behind the friendly mask might be closer than you think. Next, we journey to Tokyo, Japan, October 31st, 2021. The city was alive with Halloween festivities. On the Keio train line, passengers in elaborate costumes were heading to parties, laughing and taking photos. It was a scene of vibrant, modern celebration. Among them was a 24-year-old man dressed as the Joker from Batman, not the campy version, but the dark, chaotic one. His costume was so convincing that people admired it, completely unaware of the horrifying reality about to unfold. As the express train sped towards Shinjuku, the man calmly pulled out a knife. He began walking through the train car, and without warning, he stabbed a man in his 70s, critically injuring him. Panic erupted. Passengers screamed and scrambled to get away, desperately trying to move to other train cars. But the horror wasn't over. As people fled, the man, later identified as Kyoto Hattori, began dousing the train car with lighter fluid and set it on fire. Flames and thick black smoke filled the carriage. The train was now a moving death trap. People clawed at the windows, trying to escape the inferno. The train made an emergency stop between stations, but the doors remained closed. In a moment of sheer desperation and bravery, Passengers pried open the emergency windows and climbed out onto the tracks, fleeing for their lives. Back on the train, Hattori sat down calmly, lit a cigarette, and waited to be arrested, completely unfazed by the chaos he had created. When police arrived, he told them he wanted to kill people so he could get the death penalty. He said he admired the Joker and had planned the attack for months, specifically choosing a crowded Halloween train for maximum impact. He wanted his life to end, and he was willing to take innocent people with him. The attack left 17 people injured and a city in shock, a terrifying reminder that even in a crowd full of costumes, true evil can be hiding in plain sight. Our final story brings us to a dark, isolated road in rural Ohio on Halloween night, 2010. A group of 4 high school friends were out for a Halloween drive, looking for a bit of a thrill. They were good kids, not looking for any real trouble. As they drove, they noticed a strange, flickering light in a nearby cornfield. It looked like a jack-o'-lantern just sitting there in the middle of nowhere. Intrigued and in the spirit of the night, they pulled over to check it out. As they got closer, they saw it wasn't a pumpkin. It was a glowing plastic bag tied to a stake in the ground, and inside the bag was a human head. It was the severed head of a woman. Terrified, the teenagers sped away and immediately called 911. Police arrived at the macabre scene. The head belonged to a woman named Rebecca Cade. The investigation quickly led them to a man who lived nearby, Donnie Koshinor Jr. The story that emerged was one of unbelievable brutality. Koshinor and Cade had been in a relationship marked by violence. That Halloween night, during a heated argument, Koshinor attacked Cade with a brick, killing her. But his horrific act didn't end there. In a twisted, depraved state, he decapitated her, placed her head in a plastic bag, and put a battery-operated light inside, creating a gruesome, makeshift lantern. He then mounted it on a stake in the cornfield, like a horrific Halloween decoration, before discarding her body elsewhere. When questioned, Koshinor gave conflicting stories, but the evidence was undeniable. He was a man consumed by a rage so profound it led him to commit an act that sounds like something from a slasher film, not real life. The teenagers who found the head were traumatized, their innocent Halloween night turning into a real-life nightmare they would never forget. These stories aren't meant to make you afraid of Halloween. They're a somber reminder that the greatest horrors aren't supernatural. They are human. They come from greed, despair, and rage. So this year, when you see the costumes and hear the laughter, enjoy the spirit of it all. But remember to stay safe, look out for each other, and be aware of your surroundings. The real world can sometimes be far scarier than any story we could ever tell. Thank you for watching. If you found these stories as chilling as we did, please like this video and subscribe to our channel for more true crime content. Stay safe out there.